So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this live session by Drishti IAS. As usual, we will be discussing Indian Express. We will start with the practice question which was given to you in the last class, and then we will move forward to the important articles of the day. Okay. So for your today's newspaper, important articles are India's eye in space. Yesterday we talked about ExpoSat. We said that we will be launching it at 9 a.m. yesterday. So we launched it, we successfully placed it in the orbit. So we will talk about that again, okay, and we'll see what extra endeavor they have talked about in the article. Okay. After that, MSP concerns in India. When we are talking about Indian agriculture, we know that MSP is a very important component of our planning in agriculture. As we are talking about increasing the income of farmers, this plays important role. So we'll talk about the concerns which are has been put forward by the various departments. Okay, so we'll talk about that, and then new developments in Israel. So basically, Israel is saying that they will be withdrawing few troops from the Gaza Strip. So that is a positive sign. Other than that, if we are talking about domestically, we will be talking about some reforms which has been taking place in Israel and how court is responding to that. Okay. And after that, we'll look at some world affairs. Then I will give you one article for your own read. This is basically a static portion, so you can do it with ease. Then we'll look at the practice questions. Okay. Having a look at the Indian Express front page, you can say ISRO launches Gaganyaan year with ExpoSat, India's eye in deep space. Okay, so we'll take up this article in detail, and then ministries flagged MSP concerns, low return to rising oil imports. Okay, so we'll be talking about, or we will be focusing on this aspect, that what are the MSP concerns. Okay, other than that, when we are talking about the oil imports, etc., they are talking about here the edible oils. Okay, and not the crude oil. So we'll talk about that as well. After that, there is this news about the Manipur 3 killings in the Valley district. Okay, so even after there is a pact which has been signed between the government about the peace, suspension of operations over there, violence still persists in that particular area. We have talked about the Manipur issues in detail even in our editorial analysis sessions as well. Okay, so if you haven't watched that, you can watch those videos. Now moving further, what is the primary function of ExpoSat? This was the question given to you yesterday. Okay, options were given: agriculture irrigation monitoring, weather forecasting, studying dynamics of astronomical sources, and satellite based internet connectivity. Okay, so here we have discussed that this ExpoSat was related to your X-ray polarization satellite. Okay, so when we are talking about that, we have seen that it is to study the dynamics of the astronomical sources, the sources of emission we are talking about. When we are talking about these emissions, X-rays are one of the component of those emissions. Okay, so by reading those X-rays, their frequency, etc., we will be having an idea about the composition of those particular emissions as well as the source. Okay, so C would be your right answer. Here you can see ExpoSat stands for the X-ray polarimeter satellite. It is aimed at studying various dynamics of the astronomical sources in the extreme conditions. Okay, these extreme conditions are your deep spaces. Now let's see the first article, that is second such mission in the world after NASA's IXPE. Okay, so NASA has sent some this X-ray polarization related satellite, but after that India is the second country to do that. Okay, India has 3 observatories in space, or you can say space. There are 3 telescopes which belongs to India. Okay, so one is that AstroSat, and then second is Aditya L1 mission, it is also an observatory, and then third is this ExpoSat. Okay, ISRO launches Gaganyaan year. Okay. We are set to launch Gaganyaan this year 2024. So that is why we have started this particular year, or set that particular year as Gaganyaan year, and we have started it with the ExpoSat. Okay, all these satellites which ISRO is sending, they have some kind of attached component which will be helping in our Gaganyaan mission. Okay, India's eye in the deep space, as I told you, it is a telescope, or you can say an observatory. Okay, PSLV C58 placed the satellite in the desired orbit. So this is the launch vehicle which has been used in launch of this particular satellite. You have to remember that. Okay, it will track X-rays and celestial objects. Okay, first X-ray polarimeter satellite which will be studying X-ray polarization and its cosmic sources such as black holes and neutrino stars. Okay, we have talked about these cosmic sources. There are various stars, there are various black holes. All these celestial bodies will ultimately somehow make some kind of emissions. These emissions are what this exposet is supposed to study. Okay. It is launched from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. That location is also important because most of our launches, we have a few launch pads, or you can say launching stations. One of them is Sriharikota. One of them is in Sriharikota, that is Satish Dhawan Space Center. Okay. ISRO's popular launch vehicle PSLV-58 put the exposet in the precise orbit, that is 650 kilometers. Okay. So this is placed at the 650 kilometer altitude, that is your low Earth orbit. Okay. Exposat is the world's only, you can say Exposat is the world's second such mission after Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer, that is IXP of NASA, which has been launched in 2021. So NASA has launched it in 2021, and in 2024, or you can say in the end of the 2023, we were set to launch this particular satellite. Okay, including we have two payloads with that. One is Pollux, second is Expect. Okay, so here you can say there are two payloads which has been placed in the satellite. One is related to polarimeter, and second is spectroscopy and timing. So one will give you the idea or study about the emissions, second will talk about the timing of that particular thing. Combining both of them, we will be having an idea about the celestial body, the source of the emission. Okay. After that, 2024 is going to be year of Gaganyaan, India's first human space flight program. Okay. Regarding that, we have talked about this TVD1 mission. Okay, that was test vehicle D1 mission. Okay, we have talked about it. After that, there are two more such test flights which has to be conducted before this mission of Gaganyaan. Okay, now moving further, here you can see after injecting the exposet in this orbit, the fourth stage of the launch vehicle was fired twice to bring down to 350 kilometer orbit, where it was placed again. So basically the launch vehicle had the extra fuel, or you can say this fourth stage of the fuel, that was fired again twice, so that we can bring it back to 350 kilometer. As I told you, we have placed the satellite at 650 kilometer altitude, and then we have used this fourth stage of the launch vehicle and we have fired it again, used the fuel in that, and which we have brought it back to the 350 kilometers. That is because, so that we can say that India as a responsible person does not want any kind of space debris, or you can say any extra space debris in the low Earth orbit. That is why with a responsibility we have brought it back to the 350 kilometer, and after some time we will try to bring it back to the Earth's atmosphere. Okay. With any leftover fuel being disposed of, the platform can be dropped back into the atmosphere after completing its mission or its lifetime around a month. Okay. So after a month we will be bringing it back to the atmosphere. Till 1 month it will be performing certain experiment, or it will be a platform for certain experiment which has been designed by ISRO regarding this particular launch vehicle over there. Okay. So as a responsible space agency, we have decided to bring the fourth stage to the lower orbit so that we do not create any debris. Okay. India plans to set up a space station by 2035. So there are two missions, 2024 Gaganyaan, and then 2035 we have this plan to go for a space station. Okay. Other than that, we are also planning a manned mission to moon. Okay. So this is about ISRO's you can say aspirations. Exposat will be India's third space observatory. As I told you, we have Aditya L1 which was launched recently in 2023, and then we have Astrosat which was launched in 2015. Okay. So you have to remember these three names, that is Aditya L1, Astrosat, as well as this Exposat. Okay. Studying polarization of the astronomical X-rays can provide insight into the process that resulted in the emissions. As I told you, when we study these celestial bodies, the X-ray emissions, we can find out the process or the dynamics behind the emissions which is taking place inside the celestial body. Okay. Studying astronomical phenomena, in addition to the imaging them, studying the fluctuation in the light source and energy radiated by the celestial body. So we will be studying these three phenomena, that is astronomical phenomena, we will be studying the light source, and then energy radiated by the celestial body. Okay. So this is about exposet. This is all you need to remember for your exam point of view. That's about it. Okay. Other than that, I have placed this information over here about exposet and what are the payload it has. Okay. Other than that, how it will help us understanding the astronomical sources. Okay. We have discussed all these things yesterday as well and today as well. Now moving further to the second article of the day. Ministries flagged MSP concern, low returns to the rising oil imports. So basically here there are two concerns. One is related to MSP, that is fine. Second thing is because of the skewed MSP, or you can say some kind of favored MSP for wheat and rice. Okay. We have provided this MSP for oil imports as well, sorry, I mean oil production as well. So for the oil production we have provided MSPs, but it did not result well, okay, because of which we are still dependent on the imports. So these are the two concerns we will be talking about here. Minimum support prices can influence the farmer's decision of choice. Okay. So MSP is a price at which government will procure farmers produce. Okay. So here when government is announcing MSP, farmer knows that government will assure you this minimum price. Okay. So farmer is feeling safe, so he can go for plantation of such crops. Okay. So whereas if we see whatever crop having a higher MSP, or some crops has MSP and some does not. So considering that, farmer can decide which crop he has to go for. Okay. So that helps in the decision making. So that is how we can say that minimum support price can influence farmer's decision on the choice of the crop. Okay. Higher MSP, for example, for wheat has skewed procurement and lower returns on the seeds for the edible oils. Okay. So basically for wheat we are giving higher MSP, for oils we are giving relatively lower. So farmers are going for the production of wheat more, and relatively when we talk about the edible oils. Okay. So because of which we are going for the imports. Okay. The Agriculture Ministry has said while it has a separate mission for crop diversification, it also has a proposed higher MSP for lentils. So basically it is the ministry which goes for announcing MSPs. Okay. Ministry is saying that when we are announcing MSPs in favor of one crop, let's say for the wheat and lentils, they have increased the MSP, because of which there was skewed procurement of the wheat. Okay. Now ministry is saying that though we are increasing the crop diversification under different programs, we will talk about that programs as well. So the thing is we are increasing crop diversifications, okay, but MSP is a separate issue regarding that. But ultimately when we are talking about farmers' income, farmers are not in very well versed conditions. So that is why mostly when we see such mission might not work well, but this MSP incentives will give farmers you can say upper hand when they are deciding for the production of a crop. Okay. So that plays as an you can say incentive for farmers. So the first concern was import dependence. Okay. So MSP for oilseed has not delivered the desired result, as I told you, in the terms of the domestic production. So India is still going for the 55% of the requirement from its imports. Okay. So 55 of the domestic demand is fulfilled by the imports. Okay. Though we have decided to increase the production, we have provided for the MSP, there was increase in the domestic production as well, but the thing is still it is not up to mark. Okay. So that is one thing, pointing out how a high rate of return, that is 102% over you can say wheat and 98% for the mustard, attract the farmers. Okay. Since there is rate of return is higher over here, farmers are going for such crops and not for the oils, etc. Okay. Other crops such as pulses, sunflower, due to less returns, discourage farmers to grow. Okay. So therefore that is the reason country is resorting for the imports when we are talking about the you can say here pulses as well as the edible oils. Okay. Now the department has said that increase in the MSP of oilseed will incentivize the farmer to increase the production and also shift to the higher yielding varieties. So if you are going for the increase of the MSP, that will incentivize the farmer for the production of oil seeds as well. Okay. So that is why here department is saying that you can go for increase in the MSP. That is one you can say recommendation which has been given by the department here, that you can increase the MSP on the oil seeds as well. Okay. Here the department said that it may be helpful if a long term MSP policy is given. Okay. Since farmer is making a decision, and if you are giving or providing a detail of your MSP plan, or let's say currently we have assumed that we go for MSP announcement before the sowing season. Okay. So if the government has a plan of let's say 5 years and that is put in place in front of farmer, then farmer will be well informed while making a decision. Okay. So let's say if we have a plan for 5 years of MSP for oil, okay, so now oil seeds. So now farmer knows that there is a possibility of procurement. If they are going for the production of oil seed, it is secure production. Okay. So government will procure those crops, so it will incentivize the farmer as well. So that is why department here is saying that you should go for the plan of 5-year policy like that. Okay. So that is the thing is, when there is a long term policy, there is a stability. Okay. When there is a stability, there are chances that farmers will go for such incentives. Okay. Now agriculture ministry has responded. They have said that the MSP recommendations are based on several factors. Okay. These factors are demand and supply, domestic and international prices, intercrop prices parity, terms of trade between agriculture and non-agriculture sectors, and the likely effect on the rest of the economy. These are the factors on which MSP is dependent, and there is this committee which go for the you can say recommendation for the MSP prices. Okay. So these are the factors on which MSPs are based on. Okay. Now moving further, there was second concern that was related to your unequal benefits. As I told you, there is a skewed production in procurement in the wheat. Okay. So there are some states which are having an advantage when we are talking about wheat production. Okay. And these states are having you can say upper hand when we are talking about the procurements. So now the departments are saying that you should go for the other states as well. You have to let go of that skewed, or you can say that disparity between the states. Okay. So Department of the Expenditure said that the skew in the favor of wheat production means a limited number of states will be benefited out of it. Okay. There is the need to address the skewness in the coverage of states from which wheat is procured. So that is the thing, that you should do away with your this particular skewness in the wheat production procurement. MSP should promote crop diversification and incentivize the production of oil seeds and pulses. We have discussed it in the last slide as well. We are saying that for the crops which are having, or you can say which are having lesser production, and we have to resort to import regarding that. So here you can go for the higher MSP. Okay. And the MSP should have objective, that is, first is increase in the income of farmer. Okay. Second should be crop diversification. When we are talking about states like Punjab after the Green Revolution, these states become monotonous in the production of rice and wheat. Okay. They are not going for any other kind of variety or other kind of crops. Why? Because these crops gave them higher incentives. Okay. Because of which there is a problem of, you can say, because of the rice production and the excessive use of the groundwater. The groundwater in Punjab is depleting at a higher pace. Okay. So Punjab will soon become a water scarce state. So that's the thing, that if you are going for the over reliance on one crop, it will have negative impact on the, let's say, economy as well as the environment as well. So now the thing is, they are saying here you should go for the crop diversification, and with the crop diversification there is an added advantage to the fertility of the soil of that particular area, because different crops has different requirement of nutrition. Okay. So that is why there will be a cycle of different crops wherein the you can say there will be a cycle of nutrition changes in the you can say earth over there or the soil over there. Okay. So here we are saying that you should go for the crop diversification. Okay. And then non-price recommendations should be examined for the implementation. Department is saying that there are certain non-price recommendation. These MSP etc. are price related recommendations. Okay. And there are some non-price recommendations which is basically your structural reform in the agriculture. Okay. Such as, you can say, enhancing the farm mechanization. Okay. Use of machinery in the farming. Other than that, you can say crop diversification, access to the quality seeds, promoting efficient use of the fertilizer, okay, to increase the productivity of crops like oil seeds and the pulses. Okay. So ultimately here they are saying that with the MSP and crop diversification you should go for the structural reforms as well. Okay. These structural reforms include non-price recommendations like going for the farm mechanization, okay, crop diversification. Other than that, you can go for the access to the quality seeds and promoting the efficient use of fertilizers. Okay, there is this concept of alternative fertilizers. Okay, we have this PM Pranam scheme. Okay. With respect to that, wherein we will be going for the increase in the fertility of the earth or the soil in that particular area. Okay. So this is about the second issue, that is related to unequal benefits. And here on the question of crop diversification, government has said that, or the Ministry of Agriculture has said that government encourages crop diversification of the, you can say, production of the crops such as pulses, coarse cereals, nutri-cereals, cotton, oilseeds under the National Food Security Mission. Now it is your job, or you can say your homework, to go and look at the National Food Security Mission. Okay, so that is one thing which government is saying that under this particular program we are giving emphasis to the crop diversification. Okay, under the mission for the integrated development of horticulture. Under this mission, they are giving emphasis to the horticulture activities. Okay, and then the crop diversification programs under the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. So this Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, this was actually an old scheme in the original green revolution states like Haryana, Punjab and the Western Uttar Pradesh since 2013 to 14. To divert the areas of water incentives paddy crops to alternative crops like pulses, oilseed, coarse cereals, nutri-cereals, etc. As I told you, these crops like rice are water intensive. Okay. So when these are water intensive crops, they will ultimately have an impact on the water resources over there, and now we are saying that you should go for the crop diversification and the other crops so that this issue of water scarcity can be addressed. Okay. So that is the response on the crop diversity. There are three missions they have talked about, that is National Food Security Mission, then mission on integrated development of the horticulture and the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. All these things you have to go and have a look at, just write 2 paragraphs on that, that would be sufficient for your exam. Now the third concern was related to the WTO obligations. So there is this World Trade Organization which has some kind of recommendation, and India, such recommendations are binding on India as well, because India is also party of that. So under that we have this concept of de minimis. Okay. The issue or the problem here is that there is a cap on the, you can say, whatever support government can provide. Okay. There is a cap on that particular support. That support is basically you can say de minimis, or the cap is de minimis. Okay. Here you can see de minimis refers to the minimum amount to domestic support allowed even though it is trade distorting in nature. Okay. Now aim of WTO is to make sure that there is no trade distorting practices. Okay. So here, as let's take an example. Okay, a country like Australia, which is giving having much larger pockets, or a country like China, let's say, which is having a finance. Okay, now they can go for various subsidies. Okay, to make their export even more competitive. Okay, so let's see. There is the domestic production of some toy. Okay, and now it cost China $100. Okay. So now China, the production cost of this particular thing is $100, but Chinese government has given a subsidy of, let's say, $50. Okay. So remaining price which is incurred by the production house is $50, and now this production house, since it is made, the cost for the production house was $50, it can sell it for, you can say, $60 or $70 in the international market. On the other hand, when the other countries are producing the same thing, they are having this cost of $100. Okay, with that regard, you can say that Chinese product in the market would be let's say very cheap. Okay, so such practices of giving extra support so that your exports are basically very competitive in the international market, such practices are called trade distorting practices. Okay, unless when we are talking about India, which is a developing country, and we are going for the support to agriculture, such supports are allowed in WTO as well. Okay, so here they are saying that, but there is a cap on such supports. Okay, so the de minimis refers to the minimum amount of domestic support allowed, even though they are trade distorting in nature. Okay, such support is limited to 5% of the value of production for the developed countries and 10% of the value of production for the developing countries. Okay, so that is the concept of de minimis. Now when we are talking about India, India has violated this clause for various time. Okay, in 2018, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22. Okay, for the 4-5 years now, India has been going for such things, and now the countries or various members of the WTO are raising concerns about it. Okay, so now the thing is, we have gone forward with the violation of the de minimis this concept over there. Okay, now the government is saying that we have used the peace clause. Okay, so there is this peace clause in the agreement which says that it allows to exceed the product specified de minimis by developing countries or the members subjected to the certain conditions. So this peace clause says that for certain conditions you can violate this de minimis clause. Okay, so ultimately India is saying that we have gone under this particular peace clause, and that is why we have violated that particular thing, because in certain condition it is allowed in the agreement as well. Okay, so that is what happened in the case of WTO, how it has been allowed till now, but now different countries are raising concerns about it. Okay, so that is about the concern related to WTO obligations. And the government has taken another stance that when we are talking about the price related mechanism over there, okay, it has been set up in 1986 in WTO, and that they does not account for the inflation. Okay, and that is why we have to go for such subsidies, or you can say such incentives. Okay, and that is why we can avail the peace clause. Okay, so that is about the concerns related to MSP and the production of oil seeds, which are hindering the growth of agriculture sector. Now, because of which we are quite dependent on the import as well. Okay, so that are the three concerns which we have talked about. Here you can see, first is related to your import dependence. Second is related to the unequal benefits of the state, that is skewed procurement by the government, and third is related to your WTO obligations. Other than that, there are various things related to when we are talking about the pricing, etc., or the income of farmers. All these things are issues in agriculture, so you can go and have a look at your static notes. Okay, so that is about this particular article. Now we can move forward with the third article, that is for polity and governance. Okay, so NREGA payments are now linked with Aadhaar based system. So this linking with Aadhaar and the bank account has been made compulsorily. Okay, that will start from the you can say next year. Okay, mandatory from the January 1 of 2024 now, from this year. So here you can see Aadhaar based payment systems now mandatory for the payment of wages to the NREGA workers. Okay, so now your Aadhaar card will be linked to your NREGA card, and then second thing is it will link to your account as well. Okay, bank account. So now there will be a direct transfer of money. Okay, so now opposition is raising some concerns related to the infrastructures, etc., digital connectivity, etc. So now the thing is, government is saying that there was a hybrid mode which has been in place for a while, which says that if there is some kind of concern, you can go for the older method as well. Okay, so that is in the exceptional conditions. So Aadhaar based payment system now mandatory for the payment for the wages in NREGA workers. Okay, exemptions on case by case basis on the basis of the technical issues. As I told you, these in the exceptional cases they can be given otherwise also, but the thing is they are exceptional cases. Okay, 12-digit Aadhaar numbers are linked with the job cards of NREGA and as well as their bank accounts. Mandatory form with the effect from the February 2023. So it started from the February 2023, but several extension has been given, and now it is mandatory from the 1st January 2024. Okay. The government of India has decided to make the wage payment of unskilled workers through ABPS, that is Aadhaar based system, you can say, to ensure the payment of the beneficiary into their account, even in the case of frequent changes of bank account of the beneficiaries. So even if you are changing the bank account, since your Aadhaar is linked with that particular bank account, okay, so since Aadhaar is linked to your bank account, job card is linked to Aadhaar, you can directly transfer the money even if you are changing the bank accounts. Okay. Okay, so in case of any technical problem or Aadhaar related problem, there can be a consideration and exemption will be given. Okay. Opposition has says that stop weaponizing the technology, especially Aadhaar, to deny the most vulnerable Indian their social welfare benefits. So the thing is, here they are saying, basically talking about the concerns related to the Aadhaar. Second thing, they are talking about the concerns related to the technology. If at all this technology or this Aadhaar related system is not working, so some sections or the some vulnerable sections will be stay out of this welfare scheme. Okay. Now the thing is, government is saying that we are giving these exemptions, but the thing is, at the ground level, the people or the, you can say, administration which is responsible for such things, if they don't do it, there is no mechanism to check that as of now. Okay. So that are the concern which has been raised by the opposition, but the thing is, I would still say that is a step in right direction, because with that one we will have you can say linked accounts. Okay. And then this direct benefit transfer or the directly transferring money into the bank account is will actually reduce the red tapeism. Okay. When we are talking about this Narega related issues, there are many times you can say that these contractors which actually exploit the workers, they take money or they pay less wages to these workers. Okay. Such problems can be avoided by this particular step which has been taken by the government. Okay. Now moving further, Kerala CM launches K Smart app. Okay. So generally we don't go for the state specific news. Okay. But the thing is, here it is setting an example. Okay. Kerala is the first step or in the first state to do something like this when we are talking about the local self government. So what Kerala has done is that they have integrated all the services provided by the government or the local bodies under this one app, okay, that can be accessed on the phone and with the digital connectivity. Okay. So the thing is, you can access any service with the tap of the button on the phone. Okay. So such things are example of your e-governance. So that is a good example. You can quote in your answers, even your governance related answers, you can give example of such things. Okay. The scheme name is K Smart. Okay. Kerala solution for managing administration reformation and transformation, okay, which will bring all services of the 3-tier local self-government institution on a unified digital platform. This is first such initiative in the country that entire bouquet of the services of the department will be given under the single app. Okay. So you can say that this is the first such step in the country. So that is why it becomes even more important. Other than that, Kerala is the only state which recognize the right to internet or access to internet as a fundamental right. Okay. So that is about this particular scheme. You can use it in your example as well. Okay. So now moving further, as I told you, there are some you can say developments which has happened in Israel recently. So Israel has said that they will be withdrawing some troops from the Gaza. Okay. And this has come because of the continuous pressure of US on Israel related to this civilian casualties. Okay. Other than that, internationally when we see, there is this discourse which is against Israel, and there is a sympathy in favor of Gaza people. Okay. So that is why now they are saying that they will be reducing some troops from the Gaza. Okay. Here Israel is withdrawing some forces from Gaza to shift more targeted operation against Hamas. So now they are saying that we will be going for the targeted operations, like when we will be knowing the location of Hamas, then we will attack on that. That is one thing. Okay. So basically you can say that these are strike based operations. Okay. Whenever there is a location of Hamas rebels, and then they will target that. So that is you can say a step in right direction. That way at least civilian casualty can be reduced. can be reduced. And then it said that the toppling the Islamic faction remained objective of the offensive in the Palestinian enclaves. When we are talking about Islamic faction, they are talking about Hamas here. So they are still committed to remove Hamas from this particular area. Okay, prepare for possible flare up in the second front against the Hezbollah in Lebanon. So basically now what they are doing is they are actually withdrawing troops from here and sending it to the Lebanon border, because there is another group, that is Hezbollah, that is opening a second front against Israel in the on the Lebanon border. Okay, so now the focus will be shifted from Hamas to that Hezbollah. Okay, so let's see what future holds for it, but right now that is the situation which has happened in Israel. Okay, other than that, domestically also there is some kind of issues going on related to the judicial reforms in Israel. Okay, that reforms were actually put forward by the PM Netanyahu, okay, in the parliament, but then Supreme Court is against that. So let's talk about that as well. Israel's Supreme Court scrapped law that limited judicial oversight. Israel's Supreme Court on Monday struck down Netanyahu's contentious judicial overhaul, a decision that threatens to reopen fissures in the Israeli society. So here they are talking about reopening of the fissures here, because before this war started, this Israel-Hamas war started, there was some kind of protest which has been going on in the domestic issues of the domestic territory of the Israel. Okay, these protests are related to this particular proposal of the judicial overhaul. Few people are against that. Okay, which has came outside on the roads. Okay, then this war started, and because of which the focus has shifted towards the war, and you can say there was a integrity in the society with respect to the you can say against the Hamas. Okay, now that this particular judicial Supreme Court has scrapped that particular judicial oversight, because they have said that if it continues, it will create a fissure in the society. Okay, so right now they have scrapped it down. Now the parliament or the Knesset, which is known in the local language, that is parliament, does not have omnipotent power. This is what has been said by the Supreme Court, that it does not have omnipotent power to change everything. Okay, the Netanyahu's effort to remove the standard of responsibility opens door to the corruption, improper appointments of the unqualified cronies to the important positions. So basically in the judicial overhaul, one aspect was judicial appointments as well. So court is saying that that will lead to corruption, etc., and appointment of the, you can say, those people who doesn't deserve that. Okay, so that is why they have scrapped it down. Severe and unprecedented harm to the core character of the state of the Israel as democratic country if such proposals are passed. Okay, they had the authority to overturn so-called basic law. Those serve as the as a sort of the constitution for the Israel. Okay, so now they can change it, but they do not have any kind of omnipotent power on this. Okay, a resumption of the protest could undermine the national unity and affect the military readiness if soldiers refuse to report for duty. Okay, so this is what has been talked about in the Israel's domestic affairs. Now let's have a little broader view of this judicial overhaul. What they are basically talking about here. Okay, on July 24, the governing coalition in the Israel's parliament Knesset has passed a critical part of judicial overhaul plan aimed at curbing the power of Supreme Court. Okay, Supreme Court's oversight power. When we are talking about in our India's political system, you can say this is basically Israel's judicial reviews power. Okay, so they are trying to take that away. Okay, so curbing the Supreme Court's oversight power over the government decisions. This has sparked months of protest against the right religious government's plan to reform the judiciary or to transform the judiciary. The overhaul includes limiting Supreme Court's ability to challenge parliamentary decisions and altering the method by which judges are selected. Okay, so basically what they are trying to do here is that they are trying to take over the judiciary. Okay, and Supreme Court has scrapped that particular plan. So when we are talking about in terms of Indian system, we have judicial review. Okay, and they try to take that judicial review away from the Israeli judiciary. Okay, now moving further, many US allies have not joined its Red Sea security operation, that is Operation Prosperity Guardian. Okay, so you know that because of this Houthis, which has been created some kind of ruckus in Red Sea. Okay, so because of their attack in the Red Sea on the carriages, shipments, etc. So this has led to US going for an operation, or you can say a task force creation in that particular area for the security of the region. Okay, and US initially says that there are various countries which has come up with them, and they are trying to patrol that area. Okay, but now there are few allies which are not part of that. Okay, we'll talk about that, why these people are staying away from this particular operation Prosperity Guardian. Okay, so when we are talking about Houthis, these are based in Yemen. Okay, they are supported by Iran, and they are now supporting Hamas in Gaza. Okay, so they are saying that until unless Israel stop all the violence activities in the Gaza Strip, we will try to make sure this area doesn't remain stable in the Red Sea. Okay, so let's see. Operation Guardian, Prosperity Guardian opened fire on the Yemen's Houthi rebels. Okay, there were some 10 casualties which has been confirmed by the Houthis as well. Okay. So Houthi has launched the attack to protest Israel's military strike on the Gaza Strip. As I told you, when Israel went for the strikes on the Gaza Strip, they are supporting the Hamas, and they are saying that we will not stop until these activities are stopped in the Gaza. Okay, so here, because of that, Operation Prosperity Guardian was announced on 19th December. However, many US allies are yet to commit to the operation. US said that there are nearly 20 countries which are part of this particular operation, but these countries did not commit yet. Okay. So now let's see why Arab countries are keeping away from it, because Arab or Saudi Arabia, etc., these countries are kind of allies to USA. Okay, but the thing is, when we are talking about this issue of Israel, hold on. So when we are talking about this issue of Israel and Hamas, or they are basically Palestinians, these Arab nations has always been you can say supportive of the Palestinian cause. Okay, recently we have seen that they have gone for some kind of diplomatic relations with Israel, easing the tension with Israel. But the thing is, there was even a peace deal which was supposed to happen before this Hamas strike on the Israel. So the thing is, they tried to go for a peaceful relation with Israel, but the thing is, they are still supported. They still support the Palestinian cause for the two-state solution. Okay. So they support the Palestinian stance related to their territory. Okay. So now these Palestinians are supported by these Arab nations, and now USA has given unconditional support to Israel, because of which there is conflict of interest which you can see here. Okay, now that USA is announcing some kind of operation in Red Sea, which is against Houthis, which are supporting Hamas. So ultimately it will give a signal that Arabs, if they join the operation, they are also against Hamas. Okay, so that is why Arab countries are staying away from this. Okay. Other than that, when we are talking about the international front or the global aspect of this issue, Israel is criticized everywhere right now because of their whatever violence they have inflicted on the civilian population over there. Okay, because of which also this Saudi and the Arab nations has stayed away from this particular operation. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, what about the other partners? The partners like Spain, France, Australia, they are saying that they are ready for the operations, or they are ready for the sending ships to that particular area for the security of their vessels, but they are not taking part in this particular operation. Okay, because ultimately it is all about the sympathy for Hamas right now. Okay, people are against Israel right now because of their violation of international laws, and you can say whatever the violation they have inflicted on the civilian population over there. Okay, so now here you can say that Spain is saying that we will not participate unilaterally in the Red Sea operation. Okay, Italy is sending naval frigate to the Red Sea to protect its national interest in response to the specific request made by the Italian you can say ship owners. So when Italian ship owners made request, they are going there unilaterally and not as the part of the Operation Prosperity Guardian. Okay, then this is all related to Israel's actions. Okay, now Australia is said that it will not be sending a ship or a plane but tripling its contribution to the combined maritime forces. Okay, so there is this combined maritime forces on which Australia is saying that we will triple our contribution to that combined maritime forces. But the thing is, we are not sending any kind of ship or the plane in that particular area, because our interest is not in the let's say Red Sea area. Our interest lies in the areas that is northeast Indian Ocean, South China Sea, East China Sea and the Pacific. Okay. So they are also looking at their own interest, and they do not want to get indulged in that particular situation in the Red Sea. Okay. So that is why most of the US allies are not yet committed to that Operation Prosperity Guardian. Okay. But the thing is, this name Operation Prosperity Guardian would be important for your exam. Now moving further, there is this article which is for your own read. Okay. This article relates to the state reorganization in the northeastern region of India. Okay. Whatever 8 states we have over there, 7 sisters plus Sikkim. Okay. They have talked about the historical aspect. Okay. After British, how they come to India and how in what situations they became part of Indian you can say union. Okay. There are certain things, there are certain geopolitical aspects they have covered, that in that particular area we know that we have this Siliguri corridor. Okay. And this particular chicken neck area is quite important strategically for us. Okay. Other than that, when we are talking about 1962 war, okay, that China has shown some kind of aggression, and after that we have gone for the let's say statehood of Nagaland. Okay. So all these activities, all these instances are connected somehow. Okay. So they have discussed all these things over here. Okay. So mostly this is about the integration to the Indian state, and then they are talking about the British era, colonial Assam, etc. Okay. So this is static part, you can give it a read. It is written in a very easy language, but it will enhance the understanding for whatever you have with respect to the northeast region. Okay. So now moving further to the practice question. What was the primary acceleration factor promoting the establishment of the Operation Prosperity Guardian? Okay. Options are A. Targeting of military bases in Red Sea region. B. Support for rebel groups in the neighboring countries. C. Attack on merchant tankers in the southern Red Sea. And D. Evacuation of Indian stuck in the war zone in the Middle East. Okay. So these are your options. You have to choose the correct answer, and you can answer it in the comment box. Okay. With that, when we are talking about mains question, here you can see, how do minimum support price impact the Indian farmers and the agriculture sector? Suggest few possible ways to improve the income of farmers. So here are few components of the question. You have to break those the question in that components. They are talking about MSP. So first you have to explain what is MSP. Okay. So introductory paragraph would be like that. What is MSP and how it is important. Okay. And how it impact the farmers and the agriculture sector. So when we are talking about farmers, so we will discuss the issues related to the farmers' income. Okay. Second, related to the choice of the farmers when they decide which crop they have to go for. Okay. So these are 2-3 points you can write over there. And then when we are talking about the agriculture sector, we can talk about the productions. Okay. We can talk about the procurement, which is important factor, because if there is no procurement, ultimately all these crops will be wasting. Other than that, these farmers have this issue of procurement. Okay, there are certain issues related to procurement because the government is going for the late procurements. Okay, and because of which farmer has to sell all these things in the market, and when they sell in the market, they are paid lesser than the MSPs. Okay, so such things you can discuss in the agriculture sector, how it is impacting, how MSP is impacting. Other than that, you can also mention how the production is skewed when we are talking about the wheat, rice and the other crops like pulses and oil seeds. So there are 2 factors when we are talking about the skewed procurement. You can go for the wheat right at one class, and the pulses and oil seeds on the second class. You can say that how this procurement is actually skewed because the MSPs are skewed. Okay, and then you can talk about the how it is impacting the sector, and we are going for the imports. Okay. So this is for the second component, and then suggest few possible ways to improve the income of farmers. So when they are talking about this improving the income of farmers, so there are few ways. That is, one is increasing the productivity. So for increasing the productivity, you can go for the structural reforms. Second is crop diversification. All the non price recommendation we have discussed today in the article, you can mention all those things here. Okay, that, and other than that, you can reform in the MSP regime itself. Okay, how it is skewed, and we can go for the more uniform. Okay, then you can go for a long term policy. So all such things you can suggest in the few possible ways to improve the farmers income. Okay, with that I guess this is clear. With that, I'll like to wrap up the session. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.